Is it working? Because I got some bad service right here.
I hear you. What's up?
Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, pink
How
hair.
are y'all? Huh?
What's up,
Yeah.
y'all?
hey.
Okay, y'all. I really wanted to have a conversation with you guys because I know y'all both have been vocal about things that you guys have experienced in different interviews and things of that sort. And so I really just wanted to have a conversation with you guys about mental health and why. Monaleo, I know you've been very, very vocal on your Twitter about being an advocate for mental health. So tell me why that's important to you.
It's really important to me. It's something that I feel like should be implemented in everyday practices, not just when we're going through things, because I tend to like lean on my coping mechanisms when I'm really struggling with something. But I've learned when I implement like just daily mental health assessment practices, that really, really helps me like just maintain a good mood and morale overall. So it's really important that I incorporate that into like my everyday life, and also share those experiences that I have with my supporters and with my friends, because we all are going through things, and a lot of people are afraid to admit that they're going through things or that they're struggling with things, and even more so they feel like it's embarrassing to share those types of things on social media. Obviously they feel like they're oversharing, or they just really they miss the fact that there is somebody somewhere who is going through the same thing as them. So I just want to make sure that I at least do my part to come in and just really try to make sure I implement that in who I am as a person and who I am as an artist. So it's really important to me.
I love that. And Vet, what about you? Why is mental health so important to you?
Mental health is very important to me because honestly, so I feel like that if you lose yourself, then you lose everything else. Coming from a person who battles it every day. What I want to say is like hitting on what she said. Basically, is like if if you, oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, y'all. I'm sorry. If you like practice and try to like stay far away from everything that is like bringing you down or like putting you in a dark space, like they will just help you stay far away from that dark hole, because it's like once you go down in it, it is very hard to like bring yourself back up there. And I feel like that being vocal about it can like teach the people around you to like help you cope with it or bring you up out of that dark hole that you are in.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that. I love that. And how do you support your friends who are going through a mental health crisis?
Personally, so I do a couple of different things. And I think I'm kind of like the mental health friend at this point. Like whenever one of my friends is going through something, they call me. And sometimes it's almost a little too much, and I have to tell them, girl, I'm not in a good space for you to be dumping all your problems on me. So I have to tell them that sometimes. And that's also something that I want to know is okay. It's totally okay to set boundaries with people, because sometimes you are not in a position to be receptive to what they're trying to tell you, or to be a shoulder to lean on, or when they're going through something. So I just wanted to put that out there too, because I sometimes feel guilty when my friends do come to me and I'm not able to help them in the way that I would like to, because I'm going through my own thing. So I just wanted to put that out there. But when my friends are going through things and I am in a good space to be able to help them, I invite them over. I take them out. Like, we go get something to eat. We go get something to drink.
Yeah.
Like, I just take them out of whatever little bubble that they're in, right? Because when we're going through things, we feel like we just feel very like alienated, right? And we feel very isolated, and we feel like we are the only person in the world at that time who's going through something. And sometimes just getting out of the house and smelling the fresh air will really do a number for people, because it's like you realize that your problems are so small. Sometimes they're so minute in the grand scheme of things. So that's one of the things that I do. Or I just allow them to talk, and I ask them, like, do you want me to respond? Like, do you want me to give you advice, or do you want me to just listen? Either or. So I give them that option, and sometimes they want my advice, and sometimes they just want to talk, and I'm there to listen. So it's really just about letting them know that I'm a resource for them, and that at the end of the day, I would rather, it depends on how severe whatever, because I have friends who are just having a bad day, and then I have friends who are like, Leo, I woke up this morning and I just didn't want to be here at all. So when they, depending upon like the severity level, I act very quickly. But, you know, if they're on that end of the spectrum where they're feeling like they don't want to be here anymore, I make sure that I let them know that I would miss them if they weren't here. Sometimes you need to hear that, and that I love them, and that I care about them, and that I want them to know how important they are to me, not only to me, but to the other people in this world. So I have a couple of different things that I do for my friends around them. But most importantly, I just be present. I just show up for them. And that's pretty much, that's what I can do. Because I'm not a therapist, right? I'm not a therapist, and I don't want to be a therapist. But I would rather be present for my friends when they need me, as opposed to waiting until it's too late. Because I've lost a lot of people in my life who, just trigger warning, obviously, who have committed suicide. And I always, you live with that burden, even if there was nothing that you could have done, because most of the times there's nothing that you can do, but you live with that burden, and it kind of follows you around, and you want to make sure that the least you can do is be present for people. So that, I know I just said a mouthful, but that is how I try to help my friends.
That was amazing.
I love that. I love that. Vet, what about you? How do you show up for your friends?
So basically, like, I like and invite them over. So we have girls' nights where we get drunk and we just cry about everything. And when I say that we cry, we be snotty nose bawling, you know, and just getting it all out. Like every week we would like do like a mental health check text, you know, like how you feeling, how's your mental, you know, things of that nature. And then like sometimes they just text me a paragraph out of nowhere. And if I have time, I would text them back. But if not, I would like call them like when I do get time, be like, hey, sorry I didn't text back, you know, I was doing this and I was doing that. And also yes, like I like also before my friends literally like trauma dump, how Leo was saying, like I would like, we have to ask each other first, like, hey, can I tell you this? And
yeah,
if we say no, then it's like, all right, not right now. Like, because it's like, if I'm already going through it and you telling me stuff that you're going through, I'm literally going to take on that as well. Like, and I don't know how to not take on the things that my friends are going through or that they tell me. So it's like, yeah, like we just basically check on each other, cry it out, and just try to be there as much as possible, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I one thing one of my friends asked me before that I've never had anyone ask me before was, are you calling me to vent or are you calling me for advice? And I think like when she asked that, it had me take a step back, because it's like, oh, wow, like people don't always ask you that. So they're quick to give you advice when you really just want to vent and you really just want to take that time to like figure out what's going on with you. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree when it comes to having like a strong support system and a strong friend group.
Hold on, wait. I actually want to add some more stuff too. Like,
Okay.
You also want to kind of stay away from people that will like only be around you when you are going through it, and like when you have, they are nowhere to be found. Like they are literally draining you as well, literally, and you don't know it till it's too late, till it's way too late. So that too.
Yeah, that's facts. That you've been vocal a little bit about having a situation where you were affected by gun violence, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about that, because that's something that in our community really affects our mental health. So what was some things that you did to kind of get back to who you are?
So back in 2015, because we're gonna start from the top, I had lost my cousin that was like so close to me. Like I was not close to nobody else but her. So when I lost her, they kind of sent me down the dark path or whatever. I was always out here fighting and just being like a crash dummy. and I just did not care about life. And I made them know, like, every time that I had the chance, I'm like, I don't care, you know, come on, let's just do it, you know. And I think we were actually going to a fight, and we had thought that, you know, it was a fight, but it really wasn't, you know. And after that day, that was like a wake up call, because as I'm bleeding on the way to the hospital, I'm talking to my cousin like, I'm literally finna come be with you, right? And she like, no, you're not. Like, I just kept on hearing that, right?
Yeah.
And in that situation, like I was just really lost for words, honestly, because I'm like, I straight got shot. Like, I straight got shot, you know? Like, it ain't, I'm a female and I got shot, you know? So
Yeah.
after that, I cut off everybody that I actually went to go fight with, because I'm just like, I'm not supposed to be here right now. You know, I'm not supposed to be doing all that. I'm not supposed to be out here fighting nobody. I'm not supposed to be in this beef. Like, I'm bigger and I'm better than this. But that really took me down a really dark path, because it was like losing everybody and having to deal with the fact that I really got shot, and it was horrible. You know, like, that was really hard to overcome that, and it was really hard to figure out what was next, so I wouldn't be put in that situation ever again, or whatever, you know. So
Right.
growing and just throwing myself into my music, that is what really helped me, honestly. That's what really took me up out of my dark spot, and that is what really helped me grow as a artist, as a woman, like, all that.
Oh, yeah. So did you have some hesitations about performing live after that?
Yeah, so I had hesitations about performing live, going out in a public. Like,
Right.
I was like so traumatized that I like felt like every time that I went out, either I was gonna fight or somebody's gonna try to kill me. Like, it was like horrible. Like, I didn't have no regular person thinking, honestly. Like, I was
Anxious.
messed up.
It
Like,
was anxiety.
yeah, like, I was so messed up, and like, I didn't like loud noises. I didn't like people being too loud. Like, I didn't like crowded spaces. Like I was really fucked up. Like, and
Yeah.
um overcoming that was hard. I'm not even gonna lie. Like that was hard. Like, it took years, you know, and I'm still, you know, still fixing myself still, you know, and they have it back in 16. So yeah, like, it's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to process. I'm sure it was hard for your friends to be there for you, or your family to be there for you during that time.
Yeah, like, I really shut everybody out. And something else that we actually need to hit on, like, when I cut off everybody, I attached myself to this man, and he drug me through the mud too, because I had nobody but him, and he literally knew that. Like, something about mental health is like, we be wanting people that don't mean us no good, like none, you know. And it was so I was dealing with getting shy, I was dealing with losing people, I was dealing with a toxic man, I was dealing with trying to grow as a artist and trying to figure out what I'm doing in my life, how I'm gonna get money. Like, it was just so much going through my mind. But I just had this feeling like everything's gonna be okay. Like, you was bigger than this. Like, it's all
Right.
right. Like, I know it ain't all right now, but it's going to be all right later. And that was something that I continuously told myself over and over and over and over, you know. And it was so hard for me to actually, like, believe that. But the more that I said it, and just like, I don't know, like, it just got better over time, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. And Monaleo, tell me, because you had a friend or a family member that you lost through gun violence. I know you had a song about it. Tell me about how that affected your mental health and how your friends were able to be there for you or your family.
Well, first, before we jump into that, that I had no idea that that had happened to you, but it makes so much sense to me because you're so persistent and you're so consistent. And I know, because it's very difficult, because we're in the same line of work. So I know it's very difficult to get up every single day and show up for yourself as a human being first, but especially as an artist, going to the studio, creating content, like you don't miss a beat. So it makes sense now to me why you're so consistent and you're so talented, because you've been through things, and a lot of times that really shows through certain people. And I again, I had no idea that had happened to you, but I'm glad that you're here to tell your story.
Thank
Let
you.
me say, because I didn't want to just breeze past that, like she didn't just tell us somebody had tried to.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. Hear me out. Trauma is very, very hard for me, but I have been like desensitized to like a lot of things since I've been through like a lot of things. So it's like it's very hard for like me to like not like laugh in situations, because it's like, okay, you know, it's fine, you know. In all reality, it ain't fine, you know. Like the dark humor still does not help, you know, with the trauma, but it actually makes you feel better, you know. Laughing at something instead of crying, you feel better.
Yeah, you
feel better, but it's
better. I totally understand, because I do that a lot. I laugh at a lot of the situations, but I will say you look nothing like what you've been through. You're such a beautiful, talented girl, and to you here today is just really inspiring. That just really gave me, just hearing you tell your story just gave me chills. I'm inspired. That's fire that you got through that, and that you're here to tell the story, and that you're living out your dreams and creating amazing music for people to connect with all over the world. Millions of people literally can connect with your music. So I think that's really fire. So I
love you so much. Hold on now. I'm over here talking to be all, you know, girl, now I got a girl, because I love you. Wait a minute. I love you. You know.
I love you, girl. I love you. But yeah, I just had to say that because I didn't want to skip past that like she did just.
Nah, I respect it. I respect it. I love how empowering both of y'all's music and y'all's platform is too. Like you talk about stuff that you've been through, but you also like empower women to love themselves, and I respect that about both of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But back to what you asked me, Taylor. It was difficult for my family and friends to support me during that time, because sometimes when you're going through things, maybe you don't want to be surrounded by people. And I'm one of those people who gets very overwhelmed, and I get very anxious. And when I'm going through something tumultuous, or when I'm going through something and my mind is all over the place, I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of people. So, and I know people sometimes think that that's the answer. Like they try to like just kind of swarm in on you and call you at the same time, and everybody wants to bring flowers by, and everybody just wants to like, you know, they just want to, you know, kind of stand over you almost. Especially when you have a history of struggling with your mental health like I do, and you have a history of past suicide attempts. They want to kind of be hyper vigilant, and they want to micromanage, and they want to like stand over you to make sure like, hey, you good, you good, you good, you good. I'm not that type of person that responds well to that sometimes. So it was difficult for them to be there for me in those moments. But I still let the people who were trying to be there for me, I let them know that I appreciated them. And I just told them right now, I don't want to be bothered. No offense. I appreciate you, but I need this time and I need this space to myself so that I can regain focus, and so that I can just kind of process this and go through the stages of grief. And that's the reason why I made Miss You Already. I was kind of just talking about the different stages of grief and how they affect people basically. So it was difficult for them to be there for me. But again, like I said, just kind of have to be vocal about the type of support that you need when you need it. Because there are times when I need people to come in and check on me, and I need people to call me, and I need people to come and get me out the house. There are times where I need that, and then there are times where I just want to be alone. So just being vocal about what I needed, with the type of support that I needed at the time, was helpful.
I think that's key, though. I think it's real key that you're vocal about what you need, so people know how to be there for you.
Right.
I think sometimes we forget to say like, hey, I need help, or I don't need this right now. And then we get upset, or we get frustrated, or we get aggravated because people aren't responding the way we didn't, but we didn't communicate it, you know? So I 100%.
Or we're
Okay.
expecting people to read our minds, which is possible. People cannot reach, and I'll be doing this a lot with my friends, family, boyfriend, whatever. Like when I'm going through something, I just expect people to just know me. Like, how don't you know what I need?
What I need.
And it's just so unrealistic. It's just like you have to, in this world, right? There are billions of people, not to just be dramatic, but there are billions of people in this world, and everybody is going through their own individual things. And I think people really do forget that. They start getting this main character syndrome, and they feel like I said, they feel like they're the only person in the world who is going through anything. And it's almost a little inconsiderate to the people around you to not communicate, because it's like, how do you expect somebody to just be a mind reader? How do you expect, or how do you hold people to certain expectations, and you are not communicating the things that you need, and then you're getting upset with them for not being there for you in a way that you need them to be there for you, but you didn't communicate how you needed them. So it's really important that we communicate when we need support and we don't need support.
And like also like to like hit on what you said when like you were like sometimes I just want to be alone, right? But it's like sometimes like when we be feeling like that we want to be alone, when we are finally alone, like it just goes deeper into darkness, because it's like, damn, like nobody's actually hearing me. Like now I'm sitting in my thoughts and I'm sitting in my feelings, and it's like, damn, do I want to be alone? Like, you know, like you just like it be so much going through your mind to the point to where we feel like that we have to push people out. But like sometimes it ain't even about being alone. It's just about being quiet, right? So like I like somebody to like be in a room with me, and I be in a bed just under the cover like all fucking day, like just but just sit there and just be in my presence. Like we don't have to talk, have to do like we don't have to do nothing but just sit there. And it feels better to just have someone there with you than just being alone. But it also feels good to just be silent. Like, don't ask no questions. We're not talking. We just gonna sit here.
I agree. That's one of my favorite like bond things. I like. That's like little bonding things. That's why I just want people around, but I don't necessarily want to have to talk about what's going on. Sometimes I just want you to be in the space, in the vicinity, so that I know that I'm not alone while I'm processing these thoughts and I'm figuring out how to vocalize. Because sometimes that's the thing that we struggle with too. We don't know how exactly to say I'm struggling or I'm going through things. So when I'm in that weird like limbo space where I'm like going through something and I need somebody to be there, but I don't exactly want to talk about it then and there in that moment, that really does help me for sure. Like just having somebody, you know. Yeah, I agree.
So before because I know we have two other people that want to come on and talk, but I really want you guys, because this conversation is so good. I really want you guys to give some advice to the teammates with them going through different mental health concerns and problems and things like that.
You want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna end it off.
What I'm gonna say is, hey teammates, it's y'all favorite cousin, Big Boss Big. Hey y'all, you know, if nobody told you today, you are loved, you are wanted. Sometimes the things that we think about, nobody thinks about them but us. I promise. If you were more vocal, how we were just talking about, you know, and just tell them like, hey, I just want you to lay here with me, or hey, I just want you to sit on the phone with me, or hey, I have these thoughts, but I might be tripping, and then they might be able to actually calm your mind, you know. Always do things that make you happy, because living for somebody else, that will put you in a really dark space after a while. Don't do it, please. You know, choose yourself every time. Like when I say every time, I mean every time. Speak life within yourself when you wake up, on your way to sleep, like on your way to work. Even if you in a store, talk to yourself. Tell yourself everything is gonna be okay. Tell yourself that you look beautiful today, you look handsome today, you know. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's
That's
it.
good.
That's it.
That's good.
Monaleo, what
I
about you?
would say to the teammates and to everybody in the world, you, first of all, your presence is appreciated and your presence is needed here in the world. Um, people take advantage of the fact that this is the only body vessel that we get, right? And some people believe in reincarnation. I won't delve into that, but we know that once this body, this physical body that we have dies, that's it. There's no coming back in this same body, right? And with that being said, today, right? Once we get to tomorrow, we cannot get today back. So I really want people to start understanding that and really seizing the moment, seizing these opportunities that come our way. Sometimes we let anxiety cripple us. Me, I can speak for myself. I've passed up on so many different opportunities because I was anxious or I was nervous or I wasn't in a good headspace or I was depressed about this, that, and the third. And I felt like my life had to be, you know, what I saw on the internet in order for me to feel like I was being successful or I was making strides in my life. And it was really hindering me. And I had to stop and take a breath and realize that this is it's happening now. So if I keep passing up on all of these opportunities, I'm going to look back and I'm going to be like, damn, I wish I would have seized that opportunity, or I wish I would have taken advantage of the situation at the time. So I need people to understand, once that moment has passed, it's gone. You never get it back. Right. So I want people to start living in their purpose. I want people to do some real deep self-work and figure out what it is in this life, what it is that you want to do. What do you want to pursue? What are you passionate about? What is it that gets you up in the morning? Whatever that is, compartmentalize that and go for it. Chase after whatever it is, regardless of how scared, nervous you are. Again, this is the only life that we get. So seize the opportunity and don't let anything hinder you. That's what I want to leave.
Well spoken. I love that.
I love
Yes.
that. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to bring y'all back for a part two
We
because
have to come back for a part two.
This was
Let me know.
amazing because I really want to dive into anxiety with you, but I know we're strapped for time. But I feel like anxiety is something in our community that I don't even think we acknowledge because we don't know the symptoms, we don't know the signs, you know.
I agree. I completely agree.
So thank you ladies so much. I'm gonna bring Brooklyn and Infiniti up, and we're gonna have some more conversations, and please stay tapped in with us. We really appreciate y'all for even coming and wanting to talk to the teammates. We love y'all so much.
Of course. Thank you so much, Taylor, and thank you, Byron. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
All right, Brooklyn, Infiniti, go ahead and send requests in. I'm gonna bring y'all up on stage. I've been seeing in the comments people been asking for Brooklyn.
Hey, Taylor.
What up, girl? What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, girl.
Hey y'all.
Hey. All right, y'all. We got a lot to talk about. This was a great conversation that we just had. I don't know if y'all were tapped into it, but it got pretty real. And Monaleo and Brooke and Big Boss Vet, they were very transparent, you know, and it's really hard to be transparent in this with this audience because I mean it is the, you know, the Shaderoom teens. We laugh, we joke, we play, but at the end of the day, like, this is something that's really affecting our community, and we really have to like sit down and have conversations about it. So I wanted to talk to y'all about it. Brooklyn, you have been in the news a lot lately with the situation that happened to you. And I just want to talk about it a little bit because I know you got the comments were kind of going every which way of you have people outpouring of support and can't believe this happened. And then you have people who maybe not even believed you. And then you're trying to justify something that you know to be true. You know what I mean? So tell me a little bit about like how you really managed your mental health with stuff like that.
How I manage my mental health with things like that, I'm still trying to figure out a way to get through that whole situation. And I believe you're talking about the whole stalker situation, right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, for going through something like that for almost 5 years, it's really scary.
5 years.
Yeah, it's really scary. And it really affects your everyday life. Like, I cannot be a normal person, like a normal go out to the store or just drive anywhere by myself. Like, it affects really pretty much my whole life. And I feel like I'll never be able to get out of being affected by it. Wow. And mentally, it's draining. Yeah. Like, super, super draining to have somebody literally stalk you and harass you for 5 years. It's crazy, and it's kind of unbelievable because you don't think like this could happen to you. You always think this is something that would be in a movie. Like, you never are gonna think. Yeah, like you're not gonna think it's gonna happen to you. But how I'm getting through it, I just pray and just surround myself around people who I know care about me and who support me. And I'm still trying to navigate a way through the anxiety and everything. But yeah.
And I know you probably also deal with, and Infiniti, I'd love for you to chime in with this as well, because I know you have, experienced this, but I want to talk to y'all about cyberbullying as well. Mm-hmm. I know that the people can kind of like create their own narrative and run with it. You know what I mean? So then you're running into like trying to defend yourself on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. Like, what are some things that you've had to face when it comes to that, and how have you overcame it?
I guess I'll start. Hey, Brooklyn.
Hey, girl.
Y'all. So, cyberbullying is a lot. Like, I feel like the media itself is a lot already. People troll. People have nothing else better to do. They find themselves, like, targeting other people to make themselves feel good about what they're doing, or, like, people just be deflecting. And I feel like for me personally, I don't know. Because I feel like I'm reading these comments right now, and I'm just like, oh, no, please turn them off. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy when you're like a public figure, or we all aspiring, trying to make it somewhere, and we have all these eyes watching us, and it's like one wrong move, and it's a whole domino effect of your career could be going just like that. So I feel like for me, at least, like, I'm struggling. Like, I read comments often, and because you want to go in the comments, you want to engage, you want your analytics to stay up, because it's a analytics. If your analytics are up, then you get paid more. Like, it's so many other factors that go into this. So I feel like it's not people to just be like, don't pay attention to the comments. Don't absorb of what they're saying. It's hard. We're human beings. I have feelings. I be hurt. Like, yes, this is a stranger. I don't know them, and they don't know my story. But I think there's one thing that I've like learned after like being in the in the light and being on TV. It's like I walk in my truth. Like, whatever my truth is, I'm okay with that. Like, y'all gonna judge me regardless. It's not for y'all. I walk in my truth, and I think that me walking in my truth has allowed me to be a little bit more comfortable with social media response to anything that I'm going through, because I'm just like, that's my story. It's what I'm going through. I can't change what God has written in a deck of cards for me, and I'm finally okay with that. And the fact that I'm embracing my truth. Hey, I am adopted. Hey, I didn't grow up with my biological mom. Hey, I did have somebody else come in and want to play mommy to me, and that's my truth. But the media will be like, oh no, this is for clout. You guys are lying. This is a storyline. But it's like, this is my truth. I'm telling you my truth. And I'm okay with finally walking in my truth and being okay with people just not being accepting of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can see that the the comments in any situation can kind of go left. Brooklyn, I think I heard someone tell me that you actually don't even check your comments because of how much it can be a ripple effect. So tell me why you just, is that the reason why you decided to make that decision?
Okay, so sometimes I check the comments and
Okay.
sometimes I don't. Um, I'll always, every time I post, I'll go under my comments and comment back to people I know or comment back to the good comments. I don't respond to the bad comments. Like, I don't show any interest in them. Like,
Right.
you'll never see me responding to a hate comment because I don't know. I just feel like I'm giving them my energy for what? Like, you're not gonna get me out of my character. So I just feel like that's how I've been raised. Like, my mom always raised me to whatever somebody has to say about you, don't let it change how you feel about yourself. And I've just grown up on that. And I feel like I have a mindset of not caring about what somebody has to say about me.
Okay.
And I give off to social media like I'm just the strongest person. And I feel like I have to give that off for my supporters and for the people around me. But one thing y'all don't know, talking to everybody watching, just because we show you what we want to show you, like we show you the smiles, we show y'all the good stuff, we show y'all the good side of everything, like the laughter, the accomplishments, but we don't show y'all what happens when the cameras are turned off. Y'all don't know what I go through on a daily basis when I don't show you that. You don't know what goes on at home with family members. Y'all don't know the real. Y'all just know what I show you. So yeah, when I see a bad comment, it might, like, if it's a little bit true, you know what I'm saying, it might get to me. But a lot of comments, like I'm reading half of them on here, y'all just say anything to bring somebody down. Like,
Literally.
y'all have to be that miserable with yourself to comment to bring somebody else down. And I just feel like, y'all, we're all on here talking about mental health. This is why we're on here, and y'all are commenting trying to make us feel bad. Or like, why are you on here?
Win. Like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If we
Yeah.
don't talk about it, it's gonna be a problem because people are not gonna know how to deal with their own situations. And then we do talk about mental health, and it's still like, we don't want to hear that. Get off the live. Y'all
Right.
talking about nonsense. What do y'all want? Like, at this point, I feel like it's our generation, even like coming from our generation, because you're a part of my generation.
Yeah.
I feel like grow up on the media, but it's like, dang, like, you just can't win. You literally just can't win. Like, no matter what you're doing, positivity, I post something positive, I get no likes, I get no comments. But I go post something, something a little off, or maybe I don't look the best in the picture. I got all these negative comments that I gotta filter out, protect my feelings. You just can't win.
Yeah. And I feel like it's not only with just comments. Cyberbullying can be from anything. Like, literally, half y'all on here, y'all know the social media has been crazy, especially with my name in it. The drama has been crazy. Like, it's not only a comment, it's people who have the same amount of people as you, as followers as you, coming after you, saying the worst thing that they can say, doing the worst things that they can do. And y'all look at it, y'all laugh at it as if, oh, it's just Instagram beef. It's just, but coming from somebody, you used to be cool with them, and they do the worst thing in the world they could do to somebody, and they do it to you in front of the world. That is a form of cyberbullying, and that actually hurts. Like, just because I give off and I clap back and I argue back with them, don't mean that I'm not feeling no type of way inside. Don't mean that I'm not feeling like what they're saying. So y'all gotta take that into consideration as well.
It's very interesting that you guys would Infiniti, more specifically, you brought up, like, you kind of, if you do it, if you don't do it, it doesn't matter, so it's interesting you say that, because this is one of those brands where people feel like, it's not always positive, and you can't ever get positive content, and then we bring on positive content and it doesn't matter because it's going another way, so I think as a community we could do a better job of giving each other grace we could do a better job of loving each other. And when, instead of the first thing that comes to your mind being something negative, the first thing that comes to your mind could be something positive. Like, and even to ourselves, like, I think that the first time when we look in the mirror, we don't look at like everything that's right about us. We look at that one thing that's been bothering us, you know, and it doesn't help with our mental health. It doesn't help pour back into us. All we're doing is continuing to empty our cup, you know? So
I agree. We got to, as a community, like you said, we have to start being more intentional. Like, you got to start putting out exactly what you want, because the universe is going to give you that. If I'm pouring into people, I'm speaking life over to people, I'm putting out positivity, you're going to get that back times 10. And I feel like the more that we are intentional, like, hey, we want to meet new friends on social media. Okay, follow this person, engage with this person, be a good person, and people, you will attract good people naturally, organically. And I feel like you said, people see the Shade Room teams like, oh, that's negative, but it's like they post something positive, and then guess what? Y'all don't pay that no mind. But the minute they go post something else, y'all all in the comments, y'all engaging. So it's really one of those situations where it's like, as long as whoever the person behind it, as long as they have good intentions, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So before we go into our Q&A section, and I'd love for you guys to stay in the comments, because I'm sure people have so many questions for both of you. But Brooklyn and Infiniti, I just love for y'all to give some love and some motivational messages to the teammates that do want to hear it, to your fans that do want to tap in with you and do want to hear like how they can overcome it based on what you've done. And even if you're still like, you know, I think there's always this negative connotation with mental health. Like, it's okay. Everyone is going through a mental health something. It's not a negative thing. It's not something that you have to be concerned about every time. It's just sometimes we're human, and sometimes we're gonna cry, sometimes we're gonna laugh, sometimes we're gonna have emotions toward the situation. So I'd love for you guys to give a motivational message to the teens before we transition to Q&A.
You want to go?
Go, you go first,
okay. A message to the teammates and for the queendom. Hey, queendom, I love you guys. If y'all believe in God, keep God number one. Pray, because I promise you, he will get you through whatever you are trying to get through. He will always come. He's not going to verbally talk to you, but he's going to talk to you by showing you you can get through this, and he's going to get you through it. Like I said earlier, my mom always told me, don't ever let what somebody else has to say about you make you change how you feel about yourself. I stick through that. I quote that through everything. I make sure I tell everybody that, because it's important. Also, check on your people, check on your family members, check on your friends, because nobody's ever gonna come out and say, oh, I'm going through this, I'm struggling right now, or something, and like, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to come out and just say that. So always just check up on your people, and yeah.
Love that. I love that. Infiniti, I know you got something to say.
What am I gonna say to the teammates? I would probably say, what I'm about to say is what I wish somebody told me. Is when I was younger, I wish somebody just told me I was enough. Like, I just wish that I had to hold my hand and just tell me, like, you enough for whatever it is that you have to offer. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't know my talent, but I know that I am smart, and that's enough. Mm-hmm. That's okay. I wish that somebody just affirmed me, reassured me, and just told me, like, the world is contaminated. Like, you feel me? Like, you know, I grew up like us. I feel like, you know, as kids, like, we grow up to be these like little angels and so innocent, and then the world literally contaminates us as we get older. Like, we get so much dumped on us, trauma, all this trauma bonding, so much negativity poured into us. But I think it's important for you guys, the teammates, to really start telling yourself, like, you are enough. You don't need somebody to validate what it is you're feeling. You don't need one to validate, you know, what you're going through. You know your story. Walk in that, own that, be complacent in that, but also remind yourself that, like, you know, you enough. And one of my favorite quotes is, everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, then it's not the end. So I'll leave that with y'all right now.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, I'm gonna have to bring y'all all back for a part 2, because I think there's more that we can dive into when it comes to bullying and cyberbullying. Infiniti, we didn't really get to go that deep into your story about just trying to find yourself in the world with all of the things that you've been through. So I'm definitely gonna have to bring y'all back. But thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you. Like, I really appreciate you, even like you guys using up y'all platform to create a space for people like us to come on and just, you know, share what our stories and what we have done and what has worked for us to help the next person coming up after us.
I love it.
Bye, teammates. Thank you, guys.
All right, so the last person I'm going to bring up is Dr. Leslie. I know that some of you guys probably have questions about mental health, things that you've been struggling with. I saw we put a poll up in our story, and y'all didn't really, y'all did really like tell us the things that you were struggling with, but I'm going to bring up a mental health expert to be able to answer some of those questions for you guys. So if you got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'll be in the comments facilitating the questions to Dr. Leslie. Go ahead and drop it in the comments if y'all have any questions. Is there any way you can cure severe depression and anxiety because I cry every day and every night? Is she in there? Is this he's awkward? All right, y'all. I'm going to start collecting the questions. Yes, the questions can be anything. Dealing with anxiety, depression and anxiety. That's a good one. Knowing if your friend is hurting, but they don't want to talk about it. No, guys, I'm not T. I am not T. I am Taylor. I did not start the page. Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm glad I'm able to make it now.
No worries. I know we had some technical difficulties. One thing that came up was someone asked about how do they battle depression and anxiety, and what are some things you would recommend them to do if they find themselves crying all the time?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And first, I want to say all the guests, I wish they could have stayed on longer too.
Yeah.
I mean, they touched on like such amazing, different topics related to mental health and how important it is to just get help from your friends. I think with the person struggling with depression, anxiety, that plagues a lot of us. A lot of folks have this going on. You're not alone, and definitely if it is feeling to the point where you feel like you definitely need to get help, then go talk to someone. And if the first person you want to talk to is your friend, open up to your friend. Say, hey, can I talk to you? Here's what's been going on. I trust you with this information. Talk to someone you trust. And then, tell them you need some support. And it's similar to what was talked about with everyone else, all the talent that's been on this call on this IG Live is just start talking to one person and feeling comfortable, and then eventually moving to the place where you're talking to a medical professional. Depression and anxiety are treatable, and there are different things that you can do for yourself and lifestyle changes, but also medication and therapy that can support depression and anxiety symptoms. So the first thing to do is start and talk to somebody, and then get the help that you need from there.
Okay. And then another question that came up is, how do you deal with a traumatic past if they don't want to see a therapist?
Don't want to see a therapist. I mean, that's really challenging. There's lots of other things that you can do outside of therapy. There's lots of self-care. There's certainly ecotherapy, being outside, being with a friend. Definitely knowing yourself and knowing what your triggers are for that trauma is really important. And just being in touch with yourself and knowing what you need to stay healthy. So journaling could be a good outlet. Talking to a friend, again, the Seize the Awkward campaign is great, and seizetheawkward.org/conversations has all of these different things that you can do as a friend to reach out to someone who doesn't want to go to a therapist, but to start to have those conversations first to get you feeling comfortable that maybe, talking to someone isn't that bad. There are Black therapists out there. There are therapists that are Hispanic, that are Latinx, that are LGBTQ. There are a lot of therapists out here that really can relate to people. And so I suggest seeking out a therapist that you feel will fit with what you need, but definitely talking to a friend first and working on self-care and understanding what your triggers are is the first step.
I love that you said that, because I think a lot of people don't realize that finding a therapist is like dating. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally, you have to find the one that's a good fit for you. Just because you've had one bad experience with a therapist, I definitely wouldn't count it out.
Right. I mean, there are people too. Therapists comes in all kinds of different situations and flavors and have different training. And so you definitely have to kind of shop around. It's just like dating, and see who you like and who you connect with and who you may not like and who you may not connect with. But definitely it's worth doing, definitely. I'll also say, to the cyberbullying conversation that we've been having going on here, which is so important, social media is not the only world that we exist in. There's a whole big world out there that we can really get funnel vision of our identity is based on what's happening right here in this place in social media. But your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people that are with you every day in real life are also really huge resources for you. So I suggest when it gets really hard in this space, going to that other space and limiting your time on social media, putting a timer on things, getting outside, following accounts that do share positivity, that do give you joy, as potential ways to combat all the harmful things that can potentially happen in social media. But social media is a great platform to get the message out, to get the word out. It's a wonderful place to connect, but it can be harmful. So definitely that balance is key.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because one of the questions that just came up is, what if someone wants to just completely unplug? They just want to be alone. They just they don't want to talk to a counselor. They don't want to talk to friends and family. They just want to be alone. What would be your advice? And it's not always bad to be alone, but I still would love to talk to you about, like, still finding that balance, because I think sometimes when we are alone too much, that's when the depression rolls in. That's when the anxiety rolls in. It starts to become a ripple effect.
Right, definitely. And I think being alone is great. I think being in the presence of your own company is just awesome. And so I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think balance is key. Again, this is always going to be a balance situation of understanding when you need to be alone and unplug. A lot of people are not extroverted. When they get home after school or after work, they just want to be and unplug and not talk to anybody. But make sure you keep, again, taking stock of yourself and doing things that give you joy, things that give you positivity in your solitude. That could be listening to music. Again, that could be journaling. That could be going on a walk or doing exercise, like, just on your own. You don't have to have a whole crew with you to do some of these activities, definitely. But when you want to talk and you want to, reach out to people, definitely those people should be available and ready to come in. But you don't always have to be with a bunch of people all the time to feel like your mental health is, at the peak. Definitely sometimes being by yourself and knowing what your limits are for social interactions can also be a really positive coping mechanism. So it's really all about balance, but unplugging is great, and letting people know that you're going to unplug is also great.
Ooh, that's key. Letting people know that that's what you're doing, so they don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that happen with a friend who was like, Instagram's not good for me. I'm going to go offline. I was like, thank you for telling me, because I definitely would have showed up to their house like, what's going on? You know, so.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've had so many friends get off social media altogether just because of like obviously the comparisons to what you see in the world, and then you know, just, you know, the perception of how you present yourself to the world, you know. So I love that you said that, because it's something that I'm seeing in real time, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And there's lots of guidelines, there's lots of tips out there. I know the Dread Foundation, who's one of the sponsors for today, has an Instagram safety guideline that you can find online, like Pressure to Be Perfect. So there's a lot of tools and resources out there that you can do to balance. But social media is really tricky, and it comes up a lot, and we're on social media right now, spreading the word about like mental health and checking on your friends, but also can be a place of toxicity. And so conscious use is really at the heart here. Follow accounts that bring you joy, set boundaries with your media consumption, go out and life, you know, practice your own self-care strategies when it becomes overwhelming.
Do you have like a sweet spot of how much social media you should consume a day?
I don't, it really, the work and the research really varies. I'm not going to get into the weeds about the research, but definitely don't go to bed with your phone. You know, definitely good sleep is great for mental health. And so definitely in those late hours, witching hours, like being on your phone and doom scrolling, as we call it, there's times of the day where it's just really not usually productive. So usually you try to limit it as it gets kind of later in the evening and you're trying to kind of settle into going to bed, because getting good sleep, you'll be really ready for the day. Your mental health will be up, your energy will be up. So definitely time of day is really important, but I personally limit it to about an hour to an hour and a half a day.
Whole day?
But that's me.
Teammates, are y'all
all right?
how much are y'all on social media? I want to know,
Yeah.
are y'all doing an hour or 2 hours a day? Or are y'all in the comments and on social media all day?
Definitely not. I know it's not realistic. You can always taper down, but also tracking it. So if you don't know, track how long you're on Instagram. There's all kinds of trackers on your phone to see how long you're on social media. You can track that, and then just let's cut it by an hour next week. Let's cut it by another hour the next week. And nothing will change. The world will stay exactly the same. You know, nothing will like fall out of whack. So I mean, it's just worth trying. For me, I just come on for my work and to share the work that I do and research, and then I log off because I still have work to do.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you use it for. But I definitely really do use it for like joy and following accounts that give me joy personally. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna take 2 more questions. There was one I saw, so I'm gonna handle that one. If you have any more questions, please put it in the comment section and I'll grab one of those. But someone asked a question of how do they cure, and I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. How do they cure suicidal thoughts?
Cure suicide. It is an interesting way to think about it. And honestly, I mean, one thing is to know that it's normal. Like it's a normal experience that a lot of people have, that they think of this, and you can think about it like, oh, you know, it could be like very specific or it could be very, you know, broad. But one thing to know is that you're not alone and that a lot of people are experiencing those thoughts. Certainly talking to, again, CC Awkward and, you know, talking to friends, talking to loved ones about what you're feeling, and really having a listening ear is very helpful. And so I wouldn't say there's a cure, because it's hard to know what might trigger those thoughts, but really understanding yourself, talking to others, talking to your friends, allowing them to listen actively and support you is a great first step. And when it gets to that point where, you know, certainly these things can really escalate very fast, and there's attempts and so on and so forth. The 988 crisis line, if you just text 988, you can get, you know, a licensed person to help you. Yes, thank you. And AFSP just put in the chat, you know, texting C's to 741-741 to go to the crisis text line. Like those are all resources to help support and alleviate and take away those thoughts and behaviors. But definitely it's normal, honestly, and it's okay. to have those things, and it's okay to talk about those things. It's okay to tell people, hey, don't freak out. I just want to know that I need your support right now, and let them do those things to support you.
I love that. I love that. I hope that answered your question. If not, please feel free to DM us and we'll try to get you some more resources. The last question I want to get at, and it seems like bullying and anxiety keeps coming up.
Yeah.
You know, people keep talking about bullying. We're seeing it in the comments. You know, it's like, again, we can't help but be mean to people, you know, and I wonder if it's because that's how people have been treated. So they feel like it's the natural way to go into a conversation, to go into how they approach people. But so I just want to talk about just bullying and anxiety all together, and how some tips that you may have for people that may be struggling with both of those things. Because, you know, we talk a lot about cyberbullying, but people are at school, people are at work, people are in person, and there's bullying that happens in any environment. So yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, definitely. And it's interesting to acknowledge it on this platform, which definitely has like a lot of ebbs and flows of what it's projected. But definitely, you know, cyberbullying is a major issue. It's becoming even worse because you're behind a screen. No one can really see you. No one knows who you are. And so you have that anonymity to kind of be toxic if you want to be. I'm going to kind of pivot to more what you can do when you experience it, and what people, you know, managing anxiety, managing depression, managing poor self-image because of it, you know, what you can do to combat those things. And there's all sorts of coping strategies. One that I've mentioned a few times, but, you know, again, I'll mention, it's just to limit social media use, to limit comments on, I think somebody was saying that, maybe Brooklyn Queen was saying that she sometimes turns off comments or only looks at positive comments. You know, really developing a filter for how you're consuming that information. Because again, this can be a great place to connect and be positive with one another, and just lift each other up if we make it that way. And so I think it's really important to, you know, use those filters, use those timelines, you know, use that timer on your social media to really manage what you're dealing with in terms of anxiety and worry. And then move out into the real world. You'll be surprised how much some of this stuff goes away when you're not consuming it and taking it in all the time. Just practice like 30 minutes just offline a day, and just see what happens, and then make it an hour, and then make it at 2 hours. You know, it doesn't have to be cold turkey. It doesn't have to be, you know, everything, but you can just try and surround yourself in real life with people that are positive and that lift you up. And definitely letting people know, again, Seize the Awkward is the campaign where you're equipping young people to talk to each other. Tell people, you know, I need you to keep me accountable. If you see me scrolling on my phone, just take it out my hand, like do something else that I don't have to deal with it, you know? You know, bring your loved ones and your support team into that to help you with those symptoms. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. This has been such a needed conversation. I really hope y'all took away some great tips and great just advice on how to combat mental health. But I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank Seize the Awkward. I want to thank Dr. Leslie. I mean, awesome. So thankful that you came on and was able to give it from a different perspective, because, you know, everyone's going into it with, you know, their personal experiences. When I talk to Brooklyn and Big Boss Fed and Monaleo and Infiniti, but it's interesting when you're hearing it from a doctor who's telling you, like, you know, this is some things you should look at. This is some ways that you can shift for your mindset. So I really hope y'all walked away with some great tips, some great advice. I hope that you didn't come on here to be negative, because this is not the space that this was. And I really felt this in here, that this was needed. I can see it in the comments that even though there were some people that necessarily weren't here for that, there were people here for this conversation. There's 200 people actively watching for this conversation. So thank you guys so much. Byron, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much to the House of Joy. There's so many people to name, but I'm gonna just say Seize the Awkward all together. But thank you guys so much for this conversation. And I hope that if you have any if you have any things that you want to continue this conversation, please go to seizetheawkward.org, not com.org. And if you don't know where to go, or if you forget, you can always click on our resources tab. All right, guys. Thank you so much.